evening and welcome to this edition of Newsleader on 6. I'm Jim Fuller.
And I'm Amelia Marquez. In tonight's news, Alzheimer's Association has a new regional coordinator. State Representative Judd Matheny talks about his future plans. Gubernatorial candidate Bill Lee comments on the state's Medicaid program, and a former Tullahoma lawyer is returning to the city to practice law. We'll have these stories and more on tonight's Newsleader on 6.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Kia in Tullahoma. I have a few 2017s left that have to go right now. Kia Forte, $14,994. Kia Optima, $19,971. And my question is, why buy your next Kia anywhere else?
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Cool off at Southern Middle Tennessee's newest water park, Tullahoma's Splash Island. Fun for all ages. 3 25-foot water slides, lazy river, fun water features for toddlers, tasty food items available. All this and more, only $5 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 4 to 9 p.m. Sundays 1 to 6. Join the fun at Tullahoma's Splash Island.
Welcome back. John Gray attended the grand opening dinner for Alzheimer's of Tennessee last week, where organization president Janice Wade spoke about the program and introduced the local regional coordinator, Fran Gray.
This is the grand opening for Alzheimer's Tennessee office. It's going to be located right here in Tullahoma. Janice Wade is here. That's Janice standing right there in the middle. And she will be speaking here in a little bit and welcoming folks to the new office of Alzheimer's Tennessee in Tullahoma.
I wanted just to say a few things about Alzheimer's Tennessee, who we are and what we do, and the exciting developments and what you can expect to see here in this area. Alzheimer's Tennessee is a little bit of a different model than some organizations in that we are very grassroots. The dollars raised, say, in the community, so they flow back into the community to grow programs and services. We are a group that really looks at being in the trenches with families as they are living with Alzheimer's. So that's a key component of what we are about. We also do brain health. We know a lot about how to perhaps keep your brain healthy and to be involved in that. And then we also advocate and support Alzheimer's research as well. So we're excited to be bringing those types of services into this area. We are 35 years old, so we're in an anniversary year. I've been with the organization, I always hate to kind of tally it up, but I've been with the organization a little over 25 years. And it has gone by remarkably fast, but also, you know, for me and so many others that have been involved in our organization, there's always been one more thing that we want to get done. And for a group of us, you know, we want to see that day when there's a true intervention and better treatments, certainly for Alzheimer's. Just a little bit about kind of how we got to where we are today here in this area. It was probably about 3 years ago. A former colleague, Marcia, gave me a call and said, you know, we like what you're doing in other areas of the state. We had opened an office also in Johnson City. We've got an office in Knoxville. We have one in Cookeville, more recently in Nashville, and now here in Tullahoma. Would you be willing to come to the area and let's just talk with an interested group of folks who would like to see programs and services in this area? So it was probably at least 2 years ago we came and we had a meeting, And people say, gosh, we want those grassroots services. We want, regardless of where people go, to their church, to their school, to their doctor, we want them to know how they can connect with services right here in the area. So we talked a bit, and we were like, gosh, we want to get there, we want to get there. But it also took some things remarkably, and I'm a person of faith, so I think some things happened that are a God thing, in that at the same time, organizations statewide were coming together to identify Alzheimer's Tennessee as an organization that they could support. So the focus group continued to meet. In fact, we had a meeting last week where we really began to hear people say, you know, we want a different kind of support system. We want support groups, but we want to work with our churches. We want to work with facilities. We want to work with hospitals. We do not want one more person to live with this disease and feel like they are alone. So it opened up a beautiful discussion, and I will say, Alzheimer's Tennessee, we are not afraid to dream big. You know, it starts small, but there's a vision that we feel like that we can provide a service in a very different way. We are delighted to have Fran Gray join us as our first regional coordinator for Alzheimer's Tennessee.
We are very excited to be bringing services back to the community. As you know, the Alzheimer's Association was here, but they left a few years ago. And we know that the people here in our region need and deserve services. So we're here to provide support, education. We want to promote brain health, but we're very happy to be here. We are so appreciative of the support we've been given already. We're looking forward to drafting many of you into our volunteer pool because there's much to be done. And I'm grateful to my family for being here today and helping me get this together. And Cammie, who works with Fran and Dan, was so helpful to me too, and I certainly appreciate her. So we are ready to hit the ground running.
Stay with us. More Newsleader is coming up after these messages.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and Winchester. Check out the Ford Fusion, 0% financing up to 72 months and $1,500 cash back. Or the Ford Fiesta for $13,995. And my question is, why buy your next Ford anywhere else?
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home, our family caring for your family since 1932.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Welcome back. Tonight we bring you our final segment of Tom Corrington's interview with State Representative Judd Matheny. In this segment, Representative Matheny talks about state monuments and his future plans.
Well, and the business of what to do with our Confederate monuments keeps cropping up. It doesn't sound like you went very far. We had this sort of unusual step of the legislature taking $250,000 away from Memphis.
Yeah, that was quite a fight.
Because they ignored the ruling of the Historical Commission and sold the parks privately, and then went ahead and took down the monuments.
They usurped. We passed a law about 6 years ago, and they went around the intent of the law and did what they did. Yeah. And the legislature thought they'd punish Memphis by taking $250,000 away from them, and they did it. And then we passed a bill that said flat out, you can't remove a monument unless the Historical Commission approves it. And then you have to move it according to the Historical Commission's recommendations if they do approve it. And if you go around that process at all, you're not eligible for any state grants, and that's in statute.
Okay.
So now there is a clear penalty for a government to violate the law. No more state grants. That's in law.
No more state grants on anything.
That's right.
Okay.
But if you want to move a monument, there is a process to do it.
Sure. And
you have to mobilize your resources and fight the battle, just like everybody is. You cannot arbitrarily move a statue. And we have Sons of the Confederate Veterans and other historical organizations here. They're actually putting up new monuments now, new monuments to Confederates. Now they're commissioning several in my congressional district as I speak. So both groups are very active. But bottom line is, you can't erase history.
There's a lot of emotion involved in this issue.
You can't be emotional about history. History is facts.
Yeah.
And you have to take those facts and put them into your life and into your education and the education of your children and make them better people. You can talk about somebody's bad side, and you can use a teaching moment to make sure somebody else isn't like that. But even Nathan Bedford Forrest had some excellent traits to his life, excellent qualities, not only as a military officer but also as a human being later in life. Yeah. Did some incredibly good things. Our nation's full of slave traders up until 1865. Almost all of our founding fathers were slaveholders. Our capital in Tennessee is the only operating capital that was built with slave labor. So this whole argument of Nathan Bedford Forrest has to be removed and reinterred, and we have to remove his bust. If you're going to be consistent, you have to say we have to turn our capital into a museum and can no longer use it. If you're going to be consistent. So.
Okay. Well, that's as I say, there's a lot of emotion involved in that. It doesn't turn out to be very logical at all. We got one touch on a notable failure. Governor Haslam tried for 3 years to get some more money into Medicaid, to expand the Medicaid, and he flunked out. And
the legislature just does not trust the federal government to follow through on its commitment in any way. And we have reiterated every year. We've put groups together and approached the governor and tried our own legislation to try to bring that money down as a block grant. Still use it within the confines of federal regulations, but spend the money on the Tennesseans that we think most need it the first. And we cannot get that basic control over those finances for a state, and we don't want the money. And if we accept that money, more than 2/3 of our budget will be direct and indirect federal money, and that's a very dangerous place to be for a state budget.
We've been talking today, folks, with Judd Matheny, who has just finished his possibly last session with the Tennessee legislature, and so he's going to be otherwise busy this summer, though, and we don't want to give him a platform, but on the other hand, I think we ought to get a comment about how does your summer look to you, Judd?
A lot of chicken dinners and a lot of driving and a lot of shaking hands and a few county fairs and lots of fire departments and rescue squad visits and things that I'm used to and with people that I enjoy. And just campaigning's neat, Tom, because you meet the people that you would have never met in your community.
Yeah.
And I walk away every day saying, how in the world have I lived in this state and lived in this area and worked here all this time and I didn't know this person, or didn't know that this person did all these things, or had all these old cars in their collection, or firearms, or whatever. I meet so many cool people, and that's the greatest thing about campaigning. It really is. You learn your community, you learn yourself, you learn your friends. Everything gets tested. Every relationship gets tested.
You got a lot of folks to meet in 19 counties.
More news is coming up in a moment.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. Get to Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
All right, the cat's out of the bag at Carroll Street Liquor in Tullahoma. Now you know where to go if you're planning a get-together and want the ideal wine or spirit. Party planning can be stressful, but at Carroll Street Liquor you'll find everything you need. Mixers, gift sets, and all of your favorite spirit brands. So if you're feeling the pressure to pull off the ideal party, come to Carroll Street Liquor and select among the seemingly endless supply of wines, spirits, gift sets, and more. Your perfect party, it's in the bag with Carroll Street Liquors.
Welcome back. Tonight we continue our coverage of gubernatorial candidate Bill Lee's visit to Tullahoma. In this installment, Mr. Lee answers a question from the audience about the state's Medicaid program.
Question. Yes, ma'am.
I used to have Medicaid, and I was wondering what your views are on it. I ended up losing my coverage because Tennessee didn't expand Medicaid. I have cerebral palsy disorders, I have mental health issues, I have really anything you can possibly think of, I have it. And you know, now I have to pay for the doctor out of pocket. And, you know, it's just very, very tough because my dad passed away 3 years ago.
I'm sorry. Money's
been very tight. So, you know, I was relying on that Medicaid, and you know, I was just wondering what your views are on that. You know, about expansion.
Yeah, I think Medicaid. I think social safety nets are really critical. I mean, we need to have social safety nets. We need to have those, people need a hand up. At times they need, just like my kid in the inner city or the guy I mentor out of prison, they need a hand up. And they've had circumstances in their life that have caused them to be, to have challenges financially and otherwise. So I think we have to be really smart about how it is that we do that. Here's my view about expanding Medicaid under the current system. I think the current system is broken. Our company's health insurance increases were not 29% 2 years ago in our premiums and 19% last year. We have an escalating health care cost crisis that, if unaddressed, if we expand under the existing system, then what we're doing is creating for ourselves a scenario that the state can't afford down the road, and then we're going to be faced with the same thing we were faced with years ago when we had to take people off the rolls of Medicaid because we couldn't afford the expansion. We don't need to do that. What we need to do is solve the problem of cost increases in TennCare and in the private sector as well, in the private markets as well, before we think about expanding coverage. So I'm not in favor of expanding coverage under the current system. What I am in favor of is addressing the system fundamentally. And I'm hoping our current president will give block grants to states so we can craft and construct our own approach to lowering cost of health care. There's a payer, a provider, and a patient. Well, currently, all three of those points, none of them have a real incentive to lower cost. If you're a TennCare patient, there's really no incentive for you to choose a primary care provider over the ER. And that's fundamentally never going to drive down costs. So we have to address that driving down costs before we do anything, and that's what I think it's going to require fundamentals.
Candidate Lee also talked about recidivism and community involvement in the state.
I have a real passion around that. Spent many, many years in and out of prison for the right reasons. To look at how we can better address the folks coming out, because like it or not, they're all coming out, and so how we address them is really important. But you speak to a much bigger issue that I have a heart for. When I'm governor, we're going to have an Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives, and that is going to be a liaison between the nonprofit community and the church community and the community organizations and the state government, so that we can create an environment for them to thrive. See, I'm a person who believes that the nonprofit community is much more effective and efficient at solving some of our challenges than government is. But we have to engage them, and we have to inspire them, and we have to allow them to do what it is they do well. And it's part of the reason we did this Faith in Tennessee tour. We visited 30 faith-based nonprofits across the state. Organizations that help with, that take care of kids from the time their DCS takes them from a home for whatever troubled reason and places them in foster care. That in-between period is a terrible time for a scary time for an 8-year-old kid. This organization, organization takes care of them. We visited that. Anywhere from them, children's homes, women's health clinics, prison ministry, faith-based initiatives that are doing the work of solving some of the biggest challenges in our community. We need to fan the flame of that. We need to make that. There's an organization in Memphis called Arise to Read that's addressing the literacy problem in schools there. I chaired the YMCA, who's the largest after-school provider in the city of Nashville of kids after school. The opportunities for them, their literacy program has an 85% success rate. It's nonprofit, doesn't cost the taxpayers money. Those are the kinds of things that I think we need to look at, engage, inspire, and create opportunities because they work. Not only in recidivism, but in many other ways.
We'll be right back in a moment.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Chevrolet GMC in Winchester. This month only, 2018 Chevrolet Silverados, employee pricing, and up to $6,000 off. And my question is, why buy your next Chevrolet Silverado anywhere else?
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
Can you imagine a world without beauty, without color, without creativity, without art? Neither can we. Keep arts alive and experience all kinds of arts and crafts at the first annual Arts Alive Tullahoma on the lawn of the newly renovated grounds of the South Jackson Civic Center, May 26th and 27th. For details, visit TullahomaArtsCouncil.com and come spend the day at our fun, family-oriented art festival.
Welcome back. Lawyers Doyle and Jan Richardson recently held a ribbon cutting for their law offices in Tullahoma. John Gray brings us this story.
All right, this is the Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting at the law offices of Doyle and Jan Richardson. They've just moved back into town and opening up a law office down here on Jackson Street next to it's next to David Duncan's office down here. And so this is their official ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce. And they're getting ready to cut the ribbon here, and this is representatives of the Chamber of Commerce and Doyle and Jan's families. And they've moved back to Tullahoma from Florida and reopened a law office here in Tullahoma. So
grand opening of their new office and welcoming them back to Tullahoma. Cut the ribbon.
Hey. Officially open.
Yes, we would. Certainly would. We want to thank everybody for the opening of our new law office here in Tullahoma. And we look forward to serving the needs of the people of this community and in outlying areas. With estate planning and other legal services. And stay and visit for a few minutes, or as long as you want to.
Jeff is not a stranger to Tullahoma. He went to Tullahoma High School, played football here, and actually made all conference in defensive end and offensive center. He's looking around for a college that might be interested in him. Wake Forest offered him an academic scholarship. So I said, listen, take that.
It's ribbon cutting day at the Richardson & Richardson Law Office in Tullahoma, and they've moved back to town and opened up this office here. And congratulations and welcome back.
Well, we're glad to be back.
We are.
Yeah.
And what are the disciplines that you're going to be most involved with at this firm?
Our firm offers full service estate planning, estate administration, and we also deal with elder law issues, business succession, and asset protection. Those are our primary areas of practice.
Very good. Doyle?
Well, I have done a lot of other things in my lifetime, including I had 6 cases of capital murder back when years ago. And used to do a lot of talk practice. Jim won't let me do those anymore. I have a hard time if somebody walks into or comes into the office on crutches or in a wheelchair or with some other kind of disability. I have a hard time. You're not asking them what happened to you and whose fault was it.
Yeah.
So it is hard to not do some things that you used to do and used to enjoy doing.
Right. Well, where are you located?
We're located at 301 North Jackson Street in Suite 11. We're in the State Farm Building, directly across the street from Henry McCord Law Office.
Okay, so and this building's been here for quite some time, and you know, Doyle was you were mayor of Tullahoma for a short while and served this community well in many ways, and Jan as well, and we're just very happy to have the two of you back in town, and people need to know that they can come by and get great service from you. Two very, very nice and well-respected people back in our community again. So congratulations and welcome.
Well,
thank you, John.
Yeah, we're glad to be back.
Stay with us. Your weather forecast is coming up next.
5 dealerships, 7 car brands, 1 big clearance sale. Russell Barnett must make room for incoming summer shipments. Save hundreds, even thousands. From original list on all new and over 800 pre-owned vehicles. Every vehicle is marked down for immediate clearance. No reasonable offer refused. All credit applications will be accepted for immediate delivery.
Don't miss the big spring clearance sales event going on right now at the Russell Barnett dealerships, both Tullahoma and Winchester. And my question is, why buy anywhere else?
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this day. Our record high was in 1944 at 92 degrees. The record low was in 1997 at 40 degrees. The average high on this day is 80 and the average low is 55. Cloudy with a chance of showers in the forecast for tonight with a low of around 66. Mostly sunny weather expected on Friday with a high of 84 and a low of 65, and mostly sunny weather again for Saturday with a high of 88 and a low of 67. And that's our newsletter report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6, 8, and 10 for Newsleader on 6. You have a good evening.
And from all of us on Newsleader 6 wishes you and your families a beautiful weekend. Thank you.